Have you ever felt like your hopes for life were diminishing and that you felt a sense of being out of place in society? Sometimes you may condemn societal thoughts, and other times you might be shocked by general assumptions. Yet, despite all this, your desire to belong to society remains, doesn't it? If you believe that society is becoming increasingly aggressive and lawless, and this makes you feel uneasy, welcome to the newest episode of Ancient Echoes. Today, we will visit the recent past 56 years ago to find answers to the question of why societies collapse. Before we begin our journey, we kindly ask you to like and subscribe so we can continue to produce videos like this. Thank you for being so supportive. In 1968, Maryland, America, the renowned behavioral scientist John Calhoun conducted a fascinating experiment, examining the relationship between overpopulation and social behavior. The experiment, expected to last 3 years, was called Universe 25. Because it was the 25th trial. It is also known as the mouse Utopia. The experiment used 4 pairs of Norway mice, biologically very close to humans, specifically chosen from the National Institutes of Health's breeding colony. The mice were to live in what could be considered a utopia, a paradise with unlimited food and water, all maintenance and hygiene needs met, free from predatory attacks, sterilized from diseases, and maintained at an optimum temperature. Calhoun created a platform 3 meters by 1.5 meters in size. The platform, divided into 4 equal sections connected by bridges, was equipped with enough compartments to house 3,000 mice. Each compartment had a total of 16 water and food bowls, with 4 bowl pairs in each section. Nests for sleeping and resting, along with a wool and straw insulation mixture, were added to the compartments. The platform was to be continuously cleaned and maintained throughout the experiment. All precautions were taken to ensure that the mice did not experience stress, hunger, or fear of death. Finally, the experiment began. From the beginning, every behavior of the mice was continuously monitored. Initially, everything proceeded normally. In the 2 months where the cycles of eating, sleeping, and mating remained undisturbed, the mouse population grew to 40, and by the 5th month, it had reached 220. However, on June 9th, 1968, the first oddity of the experiment emerged. The mice began using their time, which would normally be spent hunting and searching for water in nature, excessively for mating. As the experiment continued, some data they encountered was horrifying. In this utopia with perfect welfare, the population experienced an incredible surge. However, while the population rapidly increased, some intriguing events were occurring. Abnormal behaviors began to appear in the 2nd and 3rd generations of mice. By the 5th month, communities of mice with different behavioral disorders started forming. This situation was a significant finding for Calhoun and his team. Their data had increased, and they began to analyze the mice according to these new groups. Mice living in a comfortable environment doubled their population every 56 days. By the 315th day, there would be over 600 mice in the utopia, and from this point onward, population growth would slow down. The newborns found themselves in an environment with far more mice than needed to form a meaningful social structure. Some males, attempting to protect their own territories, could not tolerate the high competition and gave up. These passive males exhibited behaviors such as avoiding interaction with other mice and sleeping in common areas rather than in nests. They did not mate and did not even respond to physical attacks. Their bodies were injured, limbs severed, and fur torn, yet they continued to live in a detached manner. The competition factor that caused these males to give up was the aggressive males. These mice were picking fights for no reason and randomly raping both female and male mice. The aggressive mice typically spent their time on the bridges, connecting the compartments and around the food reservoirs, preventing other mice from accessing these resources. As a result of these behaviors, starvation deaths occurred in the cage. It was quite peculiar for a utopia with unlimited food to experience such deaths, wasn't it? Calhoun also discovered that, in addition to these extreme behaviors, cannibalism began to appear among the mice. They ate the dead in hopes of finding nutrition and even attacked each other. Amidst all this chaos, the team discovered a different group, the beautiful ones. Mice in this group would come down to eat when everyone else was asleep and enter common areas while other mice were resting. Living completely isolated from their surroundings, these mice had pristine fur because they avoided fighting and they suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. They avoided social activities, fights, and mating, spending all their time eating, sleeping, and grooming. When the male's behaviors deteriorated and societal gender roles collapsed, abnormal females emerged. Some females harmed their offspring and avoided mating, while others mated with every male they encountered. Additionally, pansexuality and asexuality began to emerge within the society. Mice in this behavior group, contrary to typical mating behaviors, mated with multiple partners regardless of age and gender, and even with offspring. Another group, the lone females, neglected the care of their nests and abandoned their offspring, spending time alone in isolated areas. As a result of these behaviors, what Calhoun calls the first death occurs. The social structure collapses. Calhoun and his team held an urgent meeting to discuss the decision to terminate the experiment. Concerns about the ethics of the experiment had arisen among the team. Despite these concerns, a decision was made to continue the experiment at Calhoun's insistence. By the 560th day, the population of the Utopia had peaked at 2,200 mice. The expected number of 3,000 mice was never reached. The birth rates in the society were very low, and many of the newborns died before being weaned. It was obvious that their lineage was coming to an end. The last pregnancy was observed on the 920th day. The last mouse died on May 23, 1973, in the 10th month of the 4th year of colonization. Thus, the second death occurred. Calhoun explains this concept as follows. Entities die in two ways. The first is the death of their spirit and social structure. The second is physical death. When societal collapse occurs, the end is inevitably near. The behavioral sink is our desire to be accepted by others and to feel a sense of belonging to communities. We do our best to establish this communication, even though we know it will cause problems, and we fall into this sink. There are specific roles assigned to individuals by society. When the number of individuals exceeds the capacity of these roles, individuals who cannot feel a sense of belonging and who cannot find their place in society due to competition start to emerge, leading to the collapse of the social structure. Calhoun summarizes the results of the experiment as follows. Excessive population growth triggers excessive sexuality and violence in societies. These abnormal behaviors are followed by social isolation, asexuality, societal self-destruction, and extinction. Calhoun himself saw the fate of the mouse population as a metaphor for the potential fate of humankind. When we compare the abnormal behaviors we observe in today's society with those in Universe 25, it doesn't seem like such a far-fetched idea, does it? Many researchers argue that similar behavioral disorders may have played a role in the extinction of mammoths. Likewise, such behaviors might have contributed to the collapse of the Bronze Age. However, the late Bronze Age collapse will be the subject of a different video. Don't forget to turn on notifications to stay updated on our new content. What do you think? Could overpopulation truly bring down our civilization? Or can we overcome this issue due to being far more advanced than mice and continue to progress toward becoming a Type 1 civilization? See you in the next video, and thank you for watching.